I'm delighted to have the opportunity for ISP to partner with Intel in this very important conference, looking at the impact of AI ML on the future of work. We are living in an environment where there's immense technological disruption and at a very high rate. And this is changing the way we do business, the way we communicate, the way we interact. And I wanted to just give a glimpse of what is the ISB operating model and how we fit in into this picture. Most universities focus on knowledge development, which is research, and knowledge dissemination, which is teaching. And this is the old Germanic model. And the idea is to have theory-based practice, which is driven by research. At ISB, we decided we needed a third leg of the school. And this is what the Srini Raju Center, which is co-hosting this conference, is all about. And the idea is that we need to collaborate with both the government and industry to focus on implementation. So rather than worrying about theory-based practice, we want to look at practice-inspired insights and how that can drive both theory and integration. I want to literally take you to a picture from yesterday. This is an EKG machine, and you can see the size of it. And I mentioned yesterday because this is what my wife got yesterday. She's having some arrhythmia problems, and the doctors wanted her to monitor it when the arrhythmia was occurring. So basically, in this device, all she has to do is put her two thumbs, and based on that, there's an EKG that comes out on her phone, which is transmitted, to the doctors, and within half a minute, she'll get a reading indicating whether it is normal or not. Of course, it is AI ML that is doing the reading to give her the instant feedback. Now, I'm mentioning this because it's not just in medicine, whether it is education, whether it is transportation, whether it is supply chains, data is now beginning to provide the insights that are needed to be more efficient and to be more effective. This has been enabled because the cost of data storage, has been coming down. The computational power that is there in the processors is immense. And at the same time, we've been able to do the miniaturization. Now, what it then means is that for our world, with the rapid rate of technological change, we are in an era where data analytics and issues such as privacy and business transformation is leading to a situation where we are almost trying to rebuild the plane as we are trying to land it in turbulent weather. I have always been working with the entrepreneurial community, and earlier on we used to talk about building the plane as you were flying it. This rebuilding the plane as you try to land in turbulent weather caused by the pandemic such as COVID is a lot more difficult. We have to be much more integrated. That integration really means that we as organizations have to be prepared to manage uncertainty and be resilient. And we need to be implementing options thinking in our processes. And these options are exercised based on information and insights. And these are going to come through the analysis of the massive databases. And this is where AI ML comes in. But corresponding to the insights that we get from data, we need the agility and flexibility in the operations of organizations. And that turns out to be a little bit harder to manage. Change is constant, markets are dynamic, so we need to learn. And again, here, this is where the insights come in. Now, people have been talking about data being the new oil. And if data is the new oil, surely AI and machine learning are the new ICE, meaning the new internal combustion engine. And but the new internal combustion engine and the insights from AI and ML have to be implemented, and that has to be accompanied by human insights and by experimentation. So I sometimes think about how do we augment artificial intelligence, with human intelligence in order to make the right decisions. Anyway, the future of work is going to be driven by insights, and it's going to be based on performance and not inputs. Because as we see, everybody in this conference is located virtually. And working virtually means that we also have to figure out how to work in a matrix format. And from an organizational viewpoint, with people distributed all over the globe, the focus is going to be on output and less on input. Anyway, so given that we have a crisis, we also have an opportunity, and it's certainly a good time to pivot. Now, what does that mean for the our programs at the Indian Institute? At the Indian School of Business? Number one, it doesn't matter which research center we're talking about, which academic program, and which faculty group. It turns out that we have to focus on three areas. One is digital and technological transformation. Another is that we need to simultaneously work with industry and government, and we need to do so globally. Now, this is a massive repositioning, and what it means for a country like India is that we need to build the business and academic partnerships in domains and develop innovation clusters, for example, in healthcare and pharma and digital. We also need to bring back some of the talent, the homegrown talent that is floating globally, and we need to bring that talent to India, even if it is on a part time basis, through projects, through conferences, through working groups. And we need to take innovations from India to the global marketplace. The positioning is very clear when it comes to information technology. But what we are seeing in the last 3 or 4 years is that in addition to information technology, India is providing lots of contributions when it comes to research and development. And in addition, what we are seeing is healthcare systems are emerging, again supported by technology and AI ML. And finally, if I look at what has happened in the last 6 months, there's a rapid growth in terms of what I might call edtech. Now, all this is bringing in insights and integrating it with people. And so, what is really critical is that India takes advantage. We have a digital workforce. We have, whether we go to healthcare or we're looking at R&D, we are seeing a lot of Indian presence. Now, what we need to do is to get the government and industry and academia to work together to take advantage of that. In that context, what we have been trying to do is to see what is the position in which this interchange needs to take place between the government and the corporate sector and academia. The corporate sector is understandably concerned about customers, it's concerned about the product markets, whereas the government is concerned about societal needs and the needs of the citizens. And these can be somewhat different. Now, what is happening, therefore, is that we need to look at public policy issues. We also need to worry about public administration issues. And policy is different from the public administration. And finally, we also have to worry about the judiciary. So, this is what is going on, if you will, from the public side. And then we have the corporate side, where there's a lot of innovation taking place. And the role of organizations such as ISP, academic organizations such as ISP, is to play a role of making sure that there's dialogue and integration and thinking between the public sector and the management or the corporate sector. In this context, what we have been doing at ISP is looking at our research centers, and all our research centers are multidisciplinary. This particular conference is being co-hosted by the Srini Raju Center for Information Technology and Network Economy, or SHITNI. And in this context, we can, for example, look at the impact of Aadhaar and NPIC, etc., into making and into enabling digital commerce, into enabling public distribution systems, and so on. We have other centers such as the Max Institute that is focusing on healthcare and pharma. We have the Center for Analytical Finance that is looking at financial regulation and fintech. So what we are trying to do really is to say, all right, if you think of data and analytics as being the core, how can we apply that core in multiple domains when it comes to business and service innovation? So our goal is to be the bridge between government and corporate in enabling these applications, if you will, these innovative applications. To that end, these are some examples at ISP. We are working with Niti Aayog, and we are looking at, for example, there's a study done by Shitney looking at the impact of ride sharing on the labor market. And so, what's the impact, for example, of Uber and Ola on the labor market for the three wheelers, the rickshaws, and so on. We also have been looking at working with the Ministry of Education and Electronics, looking at digital literacy and entrepreneurial literacy across the nation, working with the government of Andhra Pradesh on skilling programs, skilling not only for youth, but also migrant workers and MSMEs. And we have initiated a program called Jumpstart India, and we are working with various government agencies on that front on projects that are of critical importance. On the other fronts that we're working on, so for example, we have an ISB Microsoft AI lab, and we just finished a program on leading digital transformation in the age of AI. This was a program that was targeted at the top management of companies to figure out how do we make these changes. We have the ISB Institute for Decision Sciences that is focusing on advanced management programs in analytics and omnichannel retailing. And at the Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, we're looking at business innovation and organizational transformation. The Bharti Institute has been working with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to set up an India data portal, because without the data, we're not going to get as much use out of AI ML to drive the insights. The Srini Raju, Center is working on multiple indices that cover economic innovation and occupational shifts, and these include projects such as the suitability of machine learning index, looking at the future of work from home. Is there a need for proximity? We're also working on a digital capabilities index, and finally, an industry innovation index to see how digital is transforming different industries. We are delighted to be partnering with Intel in launching the artificial intelligence, index, and this is to look at the adoption and exploitation of AI in R&D, in education and employment, and in assessing the public perceptions in India for technology. So with that, let me stop. This has been we have a lot of challenges. But we also have a lot of opportunities. So thank you for the opportunity